In the small town of Willow Creek, Ohio, the autumn of 2025 cast a golden hue over quiet streets lined with modest homes and aging storefronts. Jake Turner, a 35-year-old mechanic, was a familiar figure at Harper's Auto Repair, a franchise shop owned by a sprawling corporate conglomerate. His calloused hands moved with precision over a rusted pickup truck, tightening bolts while classic rock hummed from a radio in the corner. Jake was no stranger to hard work. He'd been fixing cars since he was 16, learning the trade from his father before tragedy claimed both parents. Now, he supported his younger sister, Mia, with his steady paycheck. The shop smelled of oil and metal, a comforting scent to Jake, who found solace in the rhythm of his work. Customers appreciated his easy smile and willingness to explain repairs without condescension. On this crisp October afternoon, the garage doors were open, letting in a breeze that carried the scent of fallen leaves. Jake was torquing a lug nut when a piercing scream shattered the calm. It came from the street outside, sharp and desperate. Without hesitation, he dropped his wrench, its clatter against concrete barely registering as he sprinted toward the sound, heart pounding with instinctual urgency. Outside, chaos unfolded. A 12-year-old girl, Lily Carter, stood frozen in the middle of Main Street, her blue backpack slung over one shoulder, eyes wide with terror. A delivery van, its driver distracted by a phone, barreled toward her at a reckless speed. Jake's legs moved before his mind could catch up, muscles fueled by adrenaline. He reached Lily in seconds, wrapping his arms around her slight frame and diving to the sidewalk. The van's tires screeched, stopping inches from where they'd been. Lily trembled, her breath shallow, as Jake shielded her, his own heart racing. Lily's mother, Emily Carter, arrived moments later, her sleek SUV screeching to a halt. A tech entrepreneur who'd recently relocated to Willow Creek, Emily was a striking figure, her tailored coat at odds with the town's unpretentious charm. Her face, usually composed, was ashen as she dropped to her knees, pulling Lily into a fierce embrace. "Thank you," she whispered to Jake, her voice thick with emotion. Lily, still clutching her backpack, mumbled a shaky thank you through tears. Jake, brushing dirt from his jeans, waved off their gratitude. "Just glad she's okay," he said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline still coursing through him. Word of the incident spread like wildfire through Willow Creek's tight-knit community. By evening, local news vans were parked outside Harper's Auto Repair, cameras capturing footage of the unassuming garage. Reporters interviewed passers-by who recounted Jake's heroism with awe. "He didn't even think, just ran straight into danger," said Mrs. Delaney, the town's librarian. Jake, uncomfortable with the attention, ducked their questions, retreating to the shop's break room. Emily and Lily visited later that day, bearing a handwritten card and a basket of homemade muffins. Emily's gratitude was palpable, her eyes glistening as she shook Jake's hand. The card, written in Lily's careful cursive, called Jake her guardian angel. He tucked it into his toolbox, embarrassed but touched. The town's admiration grew. Neighbors stopped by with coffee, praising his courage. Jake, however, remained focused on work, deflecting compliments with a shrug. Anyone would have done it. He told Mia that night over dinner in their modest apartment. Mia, a 20-year-old college student, beamed with pride. "Not everyone, Jake," she said. Their bond, forged through shared loss, made her his fiercest supporter. For a moment, life felt brighter, the community's warmth a balm to their often lonely days. But the glow of heroism was short-lived. Harper's Auto Repair was overseen by Victor Klein, a regional manager whose crisp suits and clipped tone marked him as an outsider in Willow Creek. A corporate loyalist, Victor prioritized efficiency over sentiment. his decisions driven by profit margins and policy manuals. The morning after the incident, he summoned Jake to his office, a sterile room with fluorescent lights and a desk cluttered with spreadsheets. Jake, still in his oil-stained work shirt, stood uneasily, sensing the tension in Victor's narrowed eyes. The air was heavy with the scent of stale coffee and corporate ambition. "Turner, you left your station yesterday," Victor began, his voice cold. "You abandoned a customer's vehicle, causing a delay. That's a direct violation of company policy." Jake's stomach dropped. "I saved a kid's life," he said, his tone firm but respectful. Victor leaned back unfazed. "Policy doesn't bend for heroics. You're a mechanic, not a first responder. The customer filed a complaint, and corporate's breathing down my neck." Jake's fists clenched, but he held his tongue, knowing argument was futile against Victor's rigid adherence to protocol. Victor's words cut deeper than Jake expected. "You're a liability, Turner," he continued. "We can't have employees acting on impulse, no matter the reason. You're terminated, effective immediately." The finality of it stunned Jake. He'd given 10 years to Harper's, working overtime, training new hires, earning customer loyalty. Now it was over in a single conversation. "Pack your things," Victor added, already turning to his computer. Jake left the office in a daze, the weight of the decision settling like lead in his chest. He gathered his tools, ignoring the shocked whispers of co-workers. Outside, Willow Creek buzzed with indignation. News of Jake's firing reached the diner, the hardware store, the church. By noon, residents were organizing a boycott of Harper's Auto Repair, vowing to take their business elsewhere. "Firing a hero, disgraceful," muttered Mr. Thompson, the local grocer, as he taped a sign to his window supporting Jake. Social media posts on X echoed the sentiment, with hashtags like #justice for Jake trending locally. The community's outrage was a testament to Jake's quiet impact, his kindness woven into the town's fabric over years of small, unnoticed gestures. Jake, however, felt no triumph. At home, he sat at the kitchen table, job listings spread before him. Mia watched him, her usual chatter subdued. "We'll figure it out," she said, squeezing his hand. Jake nodded, but worry gnawed at him. Their parents' death had left them with little savings. His income was their lifeline. Rent, Mia's tuition, groceries, each loomed like a specter. He scrolled through job boards, but openings for skilled mechanics were scarce in Willow Creek. The future felt uncertain, a stark contrast to the fleeting pride of saving Lily's life. The incident lingered in Jake's mind, vivid and surreal. He replayed the moment he'd seen Lily in the street, her small frame dwarfed by the van's approach. He didn't regret his choice. How could he? But the consequences stung. Harper's Auto Repair, once a second home, now felt like a betrayal. Coworkers texted their support, offering to testify to Jake's character, but corporate's decision was final. Victor's indifference, his refusal to see beyond policy, left Jake questioning the fairness of a system that punished instinctual heroism. Still, he kept the card from Lily, a reminder of why he'd acted. Emily Carter, meanwhile, was grappling with her own reaction. A single mother who'd built a tech empire from nothing, she was no stranger to fighting for what was right. She'd moved to Willow Creek, seeking a quieter life for Lily, hoping to shield her from the pressures of their wealth. The near tragedy shook Emily, rekindling memories of her own scrappy upbringing. Learning of Jake's firing through a neighbor's heated post on X, she felt a surge of anger. "This man saved my daughter," she told her assistant, pacing her home office. "And they discard him like that. It's unconscionable." Jake's humility only deepened Emily's resolve. She remembered his awkward deflection of her thanks, his insistence that he'd only done what anyone would. But Emily knew better. Courage wasn't universal. She'd seen his apartment, a modest space with mismatched furniture and a fridge stocked with budget groceries. Jake's life wasn't easy, yet he'd risked it for Lily without a second thought. Emily's wealth, earned through years of coding and grit, gave her the means to act. She began sketching a plan, one that would honor Jake's sacrifice in a way words couldn't. Back at Harper's, the boycott gained momentum. Customers canceled appointments, leaving bays empty. Victor Klein, unmoved at first, began to feel the pressure as corporate questioned the shop's declining revenue. His decision, meant to assert control, had backfired, alienating a loyal community. Jake, unaware of the full extent of the town's support, spent his days applying for jobs, tweaking his resume, and reassuring Mia that he'd find a way forward. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, but so did the memory of Lily's tearful gratitude, a small light in the uncertainty. As days passed, Willow Creek's solidarity grew stronger. Flyers appeared on telephone poles urging residents to support Jake. A local diner started a fundraiser, collecting donations for his family. Jake, embarrassed by the attention, avoided public spaces, but the town's loyalty was unwavering. He'd spent years fixing their cars, listening to their stories, offering discounts to those in need. Now they repaid him with fierce allegiance. The stage was set for something greater, though Jake couldn't yet see it. A gesture from Emily Carter that would transform his life, born from the same selflessness he'd shown.